obviously the opposite, winemaker driven. The winemaker is putting his thumbprint on that wine in a very big way. Terroir driven, as light a fingerprint as possible on the wine from the people themselves. Yeah?
You're talking about inputs into wine. Is there a market for organic wine?
There's a growing market for organic wines. I think it's probably the fastest as a category, and again, it's not a Riesling or a Cabernet Sauvignon, but as a category of wine, it's probably the fastest growing thing out there right now. And it's because our whole society is kind of moving through this organic movement, farm-to-table movement, which I love. I love the farm-to-table movement. Organic doesn't mean shit to me. It doesn't mean shit to the federal government either. So whatever you got labeled as organic, feel real happy about it. Don't mean nothing. If you get it from a local grower and you know the grower, then you know something about the food, because you can ask them. But we have this big movement happening in America, and I guess the Europeans have been doing it too, towards organic as healthier. And so more wines are doing it, but just like with foods, it doesn't really mean a lot yet. There's no standard for it. The problem with organic food in America, as well as organic wines, is there's no international standard. So it's like, okay, well, I guess if you guys don't put, some sort of toxic-ass chemical on it, you can call it organic. And as long as you guys don't, shoot up the cows with insulin and heroin, then you can call it organic milk. I mean, there's no standard. So I think there might be even more of a standard in wine than other foods, but even that's pretty loose. So we think it means maybe pesticide-free, herbicide-free, fungicide-free. I wouldn't make that assumption, though. We assume that, but I wouldn't make that assumption. Sulfite-free, chemical-free, and it's like, no, they use some of that stuff in growing grapes, and they use some of that stuff in making wines. Maybe organic wine means they try to minimize that as much as possible. But again, I don't know. You have to go manufacturer to manufacturer and ask them what their version of organic means. Yes?
As like a country, though, we have like a U.S. organic standard. It's under like U.S. Department of Agriculture that you can't use artificial.
We have something, but by the way, are there folks in the room who are way smarter about this than me? Because I'm sure you.
Organic varies from state to state. That's
organic
what it
varies
is right
from
now.
state to state. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is pretty much right now. It's not.
But there is some USDA organic label, but I think it's so fractured and so meaningless as like.
Money, so small farmers can't afford to do it.
Yes. The standards are made by bigger companies, of course, and I'm not going to start bashing big companies. But big companies get to make laws. That's the way our system works. It's not corruption. We just legalize it and let you do it. All right? So companies like Monsanto can come in and say, oh, by the way, we don't want to do that, so we want an exclusion. And the U.S. government's like, well, okay. In fact, this was a recent thing. Obama just signed some farm bill into law not that long ago that said, okay, organic means this, this, and this. Oh, and then there's an asterisk in it, and the asterisk at the bottom is like, this excludes all products by Monsanto and 3 other major companies. They're grandfathered in, so they don't have to meet any of the laws that they just signed in. It's like, well, okay, what was the point of that then? So I'm not making fun of those companies. I'm saying I don't know what organic means at the federal level, and I don't think they do either. And because of the way laws are created, they don't really mean that much. Yet. If you're really that passionate about getting the healthiest food possible, know your local grower. Period. There is no other way around it. Don't just go to the farmer's market, because some farmer's markets are full of shit too. Some farmer's market are like, oh hey, I just got this tankard of oranges from Mexico. Cool, I'm taking it to the farmer's market and selling them as oranges. It's like, now did you grow this shit here? You actually have to know the grower. Which, by the way, I do want you to know this for the rest of your life. This is more kind of the worldly wisdom type stuff. To bring it back to wine, I didn't think about telling you this until I started crafting that online wine class I just started. But wherever you move to after this, wherever you move to, the first thing I want you to do, well, after you unpack your boxes and shit, right? But for wine, the first thing you need to do is go find your local vintage cellars. And in today's wine America, there's one everywhere. And don't just go in and find it on a map. Go in and identify somebody and start talking to them. See, how many of you have been up to the vending cell? Don't raise your hands, it's all of you, right? How many of you know somebody by name at the vending cell? Okay? Shame on the rest of you, you should by now. Hell, you drank 75 million wines from them. As soon as you move to a place, find the local wine store or two, go in and start making personal contact with one of the people there. You know, that person may end up being a dork, all right? And maybe you'll end up hating that person. But get your name out there and start talking with them about the wines you like. Find out when the local tastings are, the free ones. Find out. You've got to establish a relationship so that people, and this is how salespeople work everywhere, they're like, oh, this guy's a good customer. He's asking questions. He kind of knows his palate enough. I can help him. I want to help him. Most people in sales like to sell stuff. So they're going to want to help you, and they can help you more if they know your name and identify you and start to identify the wines you like. That's how you build relationships in life in general, but I don't care about life in general. I'm talking about wine. Okay? And so you walk into a wine store in a new town you just moved